When I was 12, my family had a home in rural Ohio. For the most part, I liked the house very much. It was a brick ranch set up in 1 acre of property. I also really loved the basement. It was the size of the entire house, and it was not finished. And it was creepy, and I loved playing down there. My brother and sister and one of my cousins set it up as a playroom. We used to spend the rainy days down there, setting the entire basement up as a haunted house. One person would remain upstairs, while everyone else would make the basement as scary as possible. Then, once everyone was hidden, they would signal the person upstairs to come down. And then, the person would have to go through the haunted house, and try not to get scared when the others jumped out at him. When it was my cousin's turn to be it, we sent him upstairs. Then, we set about making the basement as scary as possible. This involved us hiding in boxes, setting up curtains in order to hide behind, or to make him think we were hiding behind them. We set up dummies with masks, and did everything we could think of in order to scare the crap out of him. I was pretty proud of it. In order for the round to start, one of the people in the basement had to go up the stairs and tell the person to wait 1 minute and then come down. This minute gave the last person the opportunity to go back down the stairs and find a place to hide before the other person came down the stairs. In this particular round, I was assigned the duty of going up the stairs and telling my cousin we were ready. The basement stairs were solid boards, but they had no backing on them. My plan was to hide behind them, and when my cousin came down the stairs, I was going to grab his ankle and scream at him. I knew it was going to be awesome. So I went up the stairs and told my cousin to wait 1 minute. Then I hurriedly went down the stairs to hide. When I got to the second to the last stair, I felt something on my ankle. Looking down, I nearly crapped myself. A small hand extended from under the stair and was holding my ankle, very much like I planned on doing to my cousin. I screamed and pulled my leg away and fell down the last stair. Looking back through the spaces between the boards, I saw a little girl in a white dress sitting behind the stairs. She looked at me, and she at first looked very upset. She was holding a ragged teddy bear in her arms. As she looked at me, the sides of her mouth began to curl into a meek smile. She almost looked hopeful, and she said to me, "Can I play too?" I yelled and ran up the stairs like a bat out of hell. I really don't know why it scared me, because, in retrospect, the girl was not threatening in any way. But just the fact that she was there freaked the hell out of me. My cousin came down and he thought I was making it up in order to scare him. He came down the stairs and looked behind the stairs and didn't see anybody. My brother and my sister also came out of hiding. Everyone honestly thought that I was doing this as part of the haunted house. But I swear, up and down, I really saw that girl. They never believed me. It's ironic, isn't it? The one time I see a real ghost and it was inside a pretend haunted house, and thus no one believed me.
So this happened when I was 12 years old, about 5 years ago, around 2010. I was still living in Traverse City, Michigan at this time. I had just gone to bed and I was still uneasy about my room, so I would constantly look around. The house was quiet since my parents had gone to their room. I started to get this bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, like something wasn't right. For some reason, I decided to get up and open my bedroom door. There was nothing outside my room, so I laid back down and soon dozed off, feeling a little better about sleeping. It was still dark in my room, so I looked around wondering why I woke up. And that's when I saw it. A shadowy figure walk into my room. I watched it, head half hidden in my blankets, eyes wide, too afraid to move. This shadow was like a silhouette of a person. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. The figure seemed to be flickering. Its movements were slow as it walked across my room to my closet. It almost looked like a bunch of little pictures, kind of like a stop motion. I was scared, so I called out for my mother. The shadow figure stopped and turned to me. I whimpered and called out for my mother again. This time, the shadow tilted its head while it looked at me. It began to walk towards me. I hid underneath my blanket, shaking. I felt something brush across the top of my blanket. Then the hallway light turned on as my mother came upstairs to my room. I poked my head out from under the blankets, but the shadow figure was gone. I never saw it again.
Number 3. The bedroom. I personally make no claims as to whether this story is supernatural or not. I was, and still am, very skeptical about ghosts. But whether what happened to the story was really a ghost or caused by mental illness, I have no doubt in my mind that the person who told me, my brother, truly believes that it happened. It's important to know that even though I'm the younger brother, I have always been the sibling that tried to tell stories to scare my other siblings. No one else ever did it. No one else ever liked it. This is the reason that this story, although seemingly over the top, gets included as a true story. When my brother was 7 and I was 5, my dad was stationed in Naples, Italy. I can't tell you I remember a whole lot about being there. I do recall that we did not live on a Navy base, but rather in a really old house. The house had 2 levels on it. I do remember the landlady who lived below us. She was a kindly old woman who always had a big bowl of candy, and she always made sure we took some when we lived there. But to the point, it was a very old house. In fact, it didn't have any heating at all. It had long hallways, heavy doors, and huge rooms. I recall that on several occasions, my brother would come into my room at night and ask to sleep in there. It was only much later in life that he told me why he did this. There wasn't much furniture in the huge rooms, but my brother's room had a desk in it. It was set perpendicular to his bed. He told me that a few weeks after we moved in, Whenever my mom put him to bed, he would turn over and face away from the desk. Then he would hear a voice whisper from the dark, "David." He would then close his eyes rather than look at the desk, but it would whisper again, "David." He wouldn't hear it every night, but when he did, he would never look at the desk. Rather, he would just keep his eyes closed and try to force himself to go to sleep. The whispering happened often. It wasn't always just his name. He could swear that the voice was coming from under the desk, where the chair would go. Several times the voice even beckoned him, saying, "David, crawl under the desk with me." But he never looked under the desk to see if anyone was there. He would simply squeeze his eyes shut tightly until he fell asleep, then safely woke up in the morning. Later in life, he told me what happened the first night he had asked to come to sleep in my room. My brother had been laying in bed when he once again heard the voice whisper his name, "David." Groaning and scared, he shut his eyes very tight and laid in bed. He then heard the voice again, "David." And this time he shuddered, because for the very first time, he heard the voice coming closer. "David." The third time he could have sworn that the voice was right by his bed. Well, any 7-year-old boy, despite having a penchant for bravado, would be terrified by this point. But it wasn't nearly as scary as the fourth time he heard the woman whisper, "David," because he felt like the voice was right above him. My brother, not wanting to, but actually thinking he was in mortal danger, slowly let his eyes open. He saw, floating above him, an ugly, nasty woman with long, black and ratty hair. Her body was covered in scales, and she had 6-inch claws protruding from her fingers. The lady looked positively angry and screamed at my brother, "David, close your eyes and go to sleep before I rip your eyes out." And he reacted exactly as he was instructed to. He closed his eyes tightly, scared that this strange woman was going to hurt him. When he finally opened his eyes, the woman was gone. He got up, walked over to my bedroom, and asked if he could sleep in there. I of course let him. When he told me the story later in life, I completely understood why he came in there. Good evening, Killer Orange Cat here. I want to first thank Unit 522 for suggesting this collaboration and for making such an amazing contribution. If you haven't checked out his channel, I strongly encourage you to do so. He is easily one of the best horror narrators on YouTube, and he's going to have a great future in this community. It was completely my pleasure to work with him. Thank you. Please check out Unit 522 for the other video in this collaboration as well. All the stories are different. I've included the link to his channel here. I also changed my Twitter name from Fox Barking to Killer Orange Cat because it makes a lot more sense, and I've included a link for that here as well. In regards to the future, I will have another true story video for all of you coming up this weekend, likely on Friday, because I believe Friday is the best day to be scared. And all that's left to say is, when you go to bed tonight, make sure to check in your closet and check under your bed, because you never know where a killer orange cat is hiding. Good night.